This video is about planets in the 7th house of your natal chart, the D1. Do also remember that there's a lot more than just one planet and one placement in your chart to signify any kind of marriage or relationships. You have to always look. The most successful relationships are normally when the ascendant and ascendant lord are strong, or the ascendant has got like two benefic planets either side of it, sort of making it strong and auspicious. And also depends on the dasha you're running. It also depends on the sign in your 7th house and the relationship between that planet and the ruler of that sign, any aspects. So I won't be able to sort of like completely tell you, but this is kind of give you a little bit of information about how the person looks and slightly about their character as well. So if you have the sun in your first house, in your 7th house, so you know that the sun is indicator of somebody who is a leader, is a professional person, is a king. So he's somebody who is respected, is dignified. It can be quite demanding and it can have ego issues, which are the things to do with the sun anyway, but wants to lead the marriage basically. So this is very much like when you get married to somebody, when you have 7th house sun, basically it's all about the way they want to socially present the marriage to others, kind of, because they have an agenda. So they want to be respected, they want to be dominant, they want to get respect from others, and so it's very important to them how the family unit is seen from the outside. And but they will be very straightforward. There'll be no messing around, you know. And but there will definitely be like a control issue, and it also will be like a challenging relationship in a way, because sun always sacrifices the house that it's sitting in, so it'll just be like burning some of the goodness of the 7th house, but highly respected. They're hard workers. They probably are bosses at work, managers, or work for themselves, and there's clarity and truth within the relationship as well. But they also will come from a family which is highly respected too. And if you have moon in your 7th house, then obviously moon is a changeable planet. So as such, you'll see that your spouse will be changeable and in character, and they be caring and kind, romantic. They are kind of like they're very nurturing as well, but they will be moody, just like the moon. So they can react to things if their emotions are being compromised because they're sensitive. Then that can actually be the theme of the relationship is all about emotional stability. And as the planet is very up and down, so you can give like different sort of, it'll be waves of emotion going with it as well, but it will be very much, foundations will be very much about emotional connection. It'll be loving, and it will be love driven, romantic, and both families will be pretty much involved in the relationship as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously depending on the house, the sign that and the sign that moon is sitting in, and any sort of aspects to it that will actually help it, particularly if it's from Jupiter as well, so to bring that optimism to the mind. So but it is tender, but it's changeable, and it's a balancing act really. So Jupiter, actually let's go through the days, because the next day will be Mars. So Mars rules kind of energy and where we put energy into. So the energy of this person will go very much to do with romance and romantic relationships, and obviously they'll be very physical. They will want a relationship which is very physically based. I have already done a video on that. I might just put a link underneath so you can see it. it is difficult for a relationship to have somebody like that, because if the dignity of Mars is not good, they could have anger issues, and they could be triggered quite quickly. So this can actually cause issues, fights, etc., and which are not really helpful to the relationship. But obviously, if Mars is in good condition, has got really good aspects as well, it could actually be a sexually driven and passionate relationship. But there will be like that level of control. And in the video, I'll just give you, because obviously they're quite energetic, so they need to have an outlet for that energy as well to just stay happy. But you've got to be aware that you're going into a relationship that is very it's challenging. So the longer you leave it, the more you find out about yourself, the more you will be in control of that relationship. Mercury is Rajasic and a happy planet, as long as it's not sitting with somebody, with a planet that's a malefic planet. But generally it's a friendly and sociable planet, so it will be fun relationship. So you'll be friends first and lovers second. So everything is about like enjoyment, really. So you'll probably find as a couple you have lots of friends, you do lots of activities together. He'll be multi-talented, and if he needs a shelf putting up, even if they don't know how to do it, they read about it and do things. They are literally it's a lovely planet to have in the seventh house. It's very intellectual, intelligent. It can do things logically. Yeah, it's fun. They're quite artistic as well. And but by the whole point that it's a dual planet, it's neuter planet as well, it can give more than one relationship, because it rules both signs that it actually rules. They're dual signs. And so then we have Jupiter. Let's go to Jupiter. Jupiter is obviously a planet of optimism and wisdom. So it brings those kind of things into relationships, and also is a significator of children as well, and a significator of husband for a woman. So in the seventh house is not the best placement for it, because it's too much into because obviously seventh house is not just necessarily marriage, but it's other people, and also your work as well. So it could just be that they are quite spiritual, but they're like more wanting to spend the time with other people, and it's also marrying somebody who's like the guru. So it's they can be a little bit preachy in a relationship. They can be preachy towards other people as well, and they also are a little bit kind of picky as well. They want somebody who has many levels of. You have a huge criteria to get through so many loops to be in the relationship with them, because they see themselves as a particular way. So yeah, so they could be that. They could be a little bit demanding of the marriage as well. So yeah, so they will be very helpful to other people, but not necessarily to spouse and their own children. And so also so you have to find points of connection with them. Oftentimes though, when you have seventh house Jupiter, you're not that inclined towards marriage. But there is definitely a high level of expectation of the spouse as well. But the more you find points of connection and things that you have in common, the better the relationship will be. And then we have Venus. So Venus is a karaka of love and marriage anyway. So it's not great whenever you get the karaka of, like Jupiter being karaka of children in the fifth house. It's not great. So it can give some issues, delays and everything. Venus in the seventh house is the same. So it can give you too many choices. And these people are very stimulated by looks and sexiness and things like that. So, but generally speaking, gives you a very loving, beautiful, socially intelligent, tactful partner. But it also can, obviously they're very stimulated by looks, so they have a tendency of noticing good looking people, so it can make you a little bit insecure in relationships as well, so bear that in mind. But that will not be the case. Obviously all of these depends on the dignity of that Venus. For example, if Venus is in Saturn signs, it will behave completely different to when it is in Mercury signs, because Mercury is playful anyway, so it will make Venus even more playful. So yeah, so you just want to just bear that in mind as well. And then we have Saturn. Saturn is the planet that matures a bit later than the rest of them, so it's better if you get married a bit later. It will give you a spouse that's reliable, and in the 7th house Saturn actually gets Dikbala, or directional strength. So, but this person can be either really lazy or really hardworking, can be very serious, a late bloomer. The relationship will get better with time. But they preserve quite well. They can actually look, as time goes by, they can look better and better as well. So they persevere with life, and they kind of put up with things, but they are kind of in a relationship with somebody who is Saturnian, because it's quite dry planet. You really need to do things. You need to really use that kind of Venusian, because obviously Venus is very good friends with Saturn, lifts Saturn's energy up. So you want to just make sure that you kind of do more artistic and creative work together, so you can actually get them out of that sort of deep and sort of a little bit to seeing the lack and dryness that comes with Saturn, and that way you can actually really enjoy a nice life together. But it will definitely get better with time, and you know that you can feel secure in that relationship. They definitely have your back. They will be respected, and they will be very steadfast and reliable, which is it's just wonderful when you want to have children. So you know that you can just like feel assured. And this will be the same if Saturn is actually aspecting Mercury as well. Mercury will not be as playful if Saturn is aspecting it as well. And then we have the nodes. So clearly nodes behave very much like obviously where Rahu is what we are created to do. So you want it to be in relationships if you have Rahu in the 7th house. And if you have Ketu, it means that you've done this all before. So it's more about yourself, your self-development this time than marriage. But how they are will very much depend on their expositor and any aspects or conjunction with them. So if they're on their own, because we're just talking about one planet being in there. So Rahu will be very much like about relationships. So they're very curious about relationship. They don't really have that much information, that much experience, so they want to really explore. So hence it's better if you have Rahu in the 7th house to wait, because that's it's better to find yourself, because they find themselves through relationships and those experiences. And what you might think was love to begin with when you're quite sort of 16, 17, it's very different. You realize that that's actually just some of it is fantasy. So you just got to get that experience as you go along, and it can give you multiple relationships, and you should never you should never judge yourself for things like this, because these are what we're here to create and do and experience in this lifetime. Otherwise, why would we recreate? And you don't want to put shame or judge anyone. We all have difficulties in our relationship. Just embrace the fact that this is what you're supposed to do. With Rahu in the 7th house as well, you could have somebody who is different to the culture that you come from. They could be foreign or from a different place in the country that you're from. They could just be unusual as well, so it could be a man that likes to grow his hair, or it could be a woman who has really, really short hair. It just can be as simple as that. But also with Rahu, because it kind of puts smoke on the 7th house, you don't necessarily know the person very well. So really, before you do anything, just kind of get to know them. I'm just going to put a little bit, because they're it's like tricksters, they might actually be a little bit untrue, but it's not because they want to be that way, but it's an issue with not knowing how they are in relation. They don't realize how they come across, and how to behave in relation. It's all very new to them, so they're learning about these sort of things. They can be quite sexual, but I always find with Rahu, it could also be somebody who's quite famous. And I say that if you have if you're a female, and your partner has got Sun Rahu, or Rahu 10th houses away from their sun, always get to know them, because what they say is not necessarily true. It doesn't, obviously it depends on their dispositor and aspects to them, but these people are really finding their soul, their soul is new, and their behavior in relationships is or in the 7th house. Don't commit until you get to really know them. And guys, if you have this, sometimes I don't think they realize what they're saying is not true. I mean, obviously it's not everybody the same, but I have found that when this placements, Rahu Sun in a man's chart, or Rahu's being 10 houses away from the Sun in a man's chart, they really, really got to learn to respect women, and to realize that being truthful is very important. So be above board with people and be respectful. They will have many challenges otherwise, because what they appear is not what they really are. So I would absolutely be careful with that. And Rahu Moon will be the same as well. Don't forget that also these people are faking it a little bit, because they don't really know how to behave. And obviously, it's a very personal planet, the sun. It's a planet, is significator of your soul. And Rahu Moon will be the same as well. And I think these always are different for men and women. So with the Rahu Moon woman will be very much like very extreme. It gives you very, very extreme sort of tendencies and emotions. With a man, they could actually play the field a little bit. So again, get to know them really well. They might not necessarily disclose everything to them. They're a little bit flirty, because don't forget that Moon was quite fickle. If you learn about nakshatras, you learn about Soma or the Chandra were being, a little bit like had 27 wives. So anyway, so yeah. Because obviously they're not friendly with each other, nodes and sort of sun and moon. I mean, you only just got to see that is how it is in Donald Trump's chart, because what they saying, they actually really, even if it's not true, they really, really believe it's true. They absolutely, and they create something in their mind and they go with it. So it's like, whoa. So you just want to obviously it's your heart chakra. You don't want to have that broken, so be aware of that, definitely. K2 in the 7th house is somebody who can be slightly disconnected, or if you have it in there, you might be a little bit too spiritual and not really into being in relationships. But if you are in a relationship, it really depends on the dispositor of K2, and good aspects to it. Jupiter will sort of help it as well. And just generally speaking, these people, you might have a past karma with them, and that you're here to finish off. And the partner could also be very unavailable. There's something about them that doesn't add up. They could just be not disclosing everything to you. They can also be a little bit critical as well, and want everything to be like a bit fussy, so how they want everything to be. So be aware of that as well. But they will be a little bit vague, but they are very so they're very unsure about their motivation and their path. So the older you go into the relationship, the better. So you have actually developing yourself will really help that, absolutely. So I think that's probably all the planets, but obviously remember that not one single placement means everything about your relationship. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.